good that she had the class. Apa lagi? Oh, satu lagi. I nak cakap pasal integrated project actually. Is Luna in your class?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, sorry Luna. Okay. So I want to discuss on integrated project. Your classmates who are part of the committee has actually submitted the proposal, right? Ain'ni has given to me the proposal. And because there's so much uncertainties whether we can go to Langkawi or not, and I know Ain'ni has been asking me also whether, you know, it's a go or not, because you need to book everything, right? And now it's March, tomorrow is already April, and the plan is to go in July. Kan Ain'ni? Right, Ain'ni? July? Or is it August? Okay, so that's like 4 more months. So there's still a lot of planning to do, and we still don't know whether, you know, by that time we can cross states or not, right? So because of these uncertainties, there are some risk. So tomorrow, Tan Sri Rahim of Rahim & Co, he is still our prof adjunct for our department, okay, and UM lah, in basically the prof adjunct for our department in UM, and he's gonna come tomorrow to discuss what can he help with the department's activities. So I was thinking maybe we should use his resources to help us with integrated project this year. Should we do that?
Like how?
Like, sorry, Lavinia?
Like what do you mean by his resources?
Means like, but basically what you have to do for the integrated project is that you need vacant lands, right? You need vacant lands, and then you need to propose a development. You need some fields of, you know, what is needed in the market study, and then you need to do a feasibility study, and then you have to propose, basically you have to submit a development proposal report, which is going to be something similar with property development, right? But previously it was like in international context, but for you this year seems to be still domestically lah. And we wanted to do Langkawi. So I was thinking like, I'm sure Rahim & Co has many resources, like many types of lands, etc. And they have many people, not people lah, boleh lah, many staff who are able to help to explain market study in detail perhaps, because they have a research division. So maybe, you know, those people who are in the research division could help you with whatever data that you guys need, and probably guide you as well on how to, you know, do a market study and also a feasibility study. Tak lah. Actually, I'm not so sure just yet. So I thought perhaps it's best to discuss with you guys. So I was thinking like your Langkawi integrated project could have like a backup, like a integrated project X, Rahim & Co, you know, kind of thing, in case that we cannot go to Langkawi, etc. lah. So, yeah, Faz?
Tak, sekiranya macam kita kerjasama dengan Rahim lah, macam kita macam mana cakap, kita tak pergi mana-mana, just macam ambil information daripada diorang je, macam tu.
Kita collab dia, lepas tu kita ambil information. Ini in case kalau kita tak pergi mana-mana lah kot, kan. I think Rahim & Co, but maybe I can ask Tan Sri Rahim tomorrow also if he has like international projects ke, kan. Because I know they're quite fond with macam Chinese corporation, because China actually hired them to find like factories for them in Malaysia, etc. So I don't know, what do you think we could get? Oh, perhaps we can discuss on what we could get from this collaboration with Tan Sri Rahim. Oh, sorry, with Rahim & Co. Okay, I'll take notes. Then tomorrow I will propose. Pula puluh ni. Okay ni. Okay, what do you guys think? I mean, even in Langkawi pun, we have yet to talk to Lada semua kan? We have not talked to all the people or firms, property firms in Langkawi as well, right? Okay, so because KJ cakap, the head of department, Dr. Hasniati said, perhaps we need to have like a worst case scenario as well. So let's do this. Why don't, for integrated project, we have two plans, okay? So plan A is to get, to go to Langkawi. So it's called Langkawi. Oh, is it okay I discuss because everybody's here, right? So you guys are going for the integrated project.
Boleh Doktor.
Okay, so Langkawi IP 2021. So, okay, for Langkawi integrated project, what can we get from Tan Sri Rahim? What do you think he might have?
Sponsorship.
Sponsorships. Okay. Apart from that, like what else can
Might
we,
as well get us the person to contact.
person to contact? Person to contact. To contact in Langkawi. Okay. I think Ain'ni said we have actually identified vacant lands. Kan Ain'ni? That one you identified through apa eh? Biro PR siapa yang jaga?
Me. Hi, Sujong.
Oh, Sujong. So Sujong, how do you identify the vacant land?
So we just find land, agricultural land in Langkawi lah.
Okay.
Find
Have you
about 7.
There is a Oh, okay. So there's 7 yet. 7 through I-10. Okay. There are still agricultural land lah kan?
Yes.
Okay. Person to contact in Langkawi. Who are these people that we want to contact in Langkawi?
I think
Lada.
the
Sorry?
relevant land authority.
Huh? Sorry? Tak dengar. Oh ya, ada wiki. Dan proposal tak ada? Ini. Ini ada the proposal. Oh, I pun tengah cari dalam email. Wah, email you. Ain'ni. Ke you WhatsApp? Okay, tak WhatsApp. Kan? Saya tak jumpa lah email you. Sekejap. Langkawi. Wait. Oh, okay. Sekejap. I share dengan semua orang. Lots proposal. So apa benda yang dekat dalam ni lah kan you nak contact, is it? Kan, whatever that is in the itinerary kan, itinerary ni. Okay. Salah. Resume presentation. Stop. Sekejap. Mami dengar dia dah sampai. Okay. So, is this one kan? Are you guys seeing this?
Yes, Doktor.
Okay. So, I think the last kali. Okay. So, Lada. Oh, ni pejabat daerah dan tanah. Nama dia memang pejabat daerah dan tanah Langkawi ke?
According to yang kita cari dekat website dia cakap macam ni lah.
Oh, okay.
Dia kalau tulis dia branch dia nama macam ni. Kita pun dapat je. Google Map pun sebenarnya tak silap mereka pun tunggu macam ni.
Oh, okay. Alright. So pejabat daerah dan tanah, Lada, JPPH Langkawi. Kita ada JPPH Langkawi
Juga branch itu punya tulis.
Oh, okay. Tapi ya ini ada tapi ke?
Tapi macam kedai sajalah, bukan satu building lah.
Oh, okay, nampak. Oh, ya. Yeah.
Bukan ke kat Langkawi ke?
Bukan kat Langkawi?
Oh, okay.
Oh, tu nak pergi. Wah, Jupem yang tak ada dekat Langkawi. Oh, betul juga. Tak boleh apa? Kalau nak beli online, untuk Jupem kena ada lesen. Enggak.
Doktor tolong bagi.
Saya pun tak ada lesen. Rasa macam hari tu department, nanti saya cakap pasal tu, lesen Jupem Saya tanya Tan Sri, boleh lah. Okay. Kan, itu boleh satu benda kita minta kan. Okay. Kan. Bayang kau tak ada dekat Langkawi Cuba Google sikit. CBRE. Ke you guys dah cari memang ada CBRE je?
Memang tak banyak lah dia punya property company.
Tak banyak
Macam ada yang dapat nama saja tapi saya tengok map sudah hilang. Saya rasa sudah tak ada.
Okay, so speaking of galleries, kenapa? Oh, tinggal ambil. Sekejap Okay, So maksudnya all these galleries yang Desa Impian, 99 East Estate, Tropicana, Canang pula, Cenang, Lavanya Residence ni, developer dia siapa?
Oh,
Kalau Desa Impian,
okay.
adakah we tahu who are the developers? Faik tak ada hari ni. Faik di mana? Kenapa semua orang tak ada jawapan Faik kat mana? Faik tak ada ke hari ni?
Sebab Faik tak bagi tahu apa-apa.
Oh ya ke?
Sekejap
Kau doktor.
Okay. Okay. Okay, jap. I rasa, okay, tak apalah. Okay, tak apa. I think, kiranya I'm guessing these are all just, apa nama dia tu? Sekejap nak stop share ni. These are all galleries that you would like to go in order to get apa sebenarnya? It's like some inspirations ke? Macam some understanding of the market ke macam mana? Is it like that?
Because we have nowhere to go already.
No idea. Betul juga kan? Apa lagi nak buat dengan kahwin ni tu tak?
Yeah, if you want
Okay.
to educator mah.
Kan kalau pergi overseas dapat lah jalan tapi macam tak boleh pergi je. Okay, so plan A wise, what I could ask from Tan Sri tomorrow is perhaps sponsorships and then get person to contact Langkawi. And perhaps kalau dia boleh tolong belikan Jupem punya map lah kan. Okay, now plan B. What happens if we cannot go to Langkawi? If we cannot go to Langkawi, I think kita boleh buat lah kot yang projek integrasi IP 2001 in collaboration dengan Rahim Ain'ni lah kot. Tapi I pun tak tahu what would be like the way to do this, do you think? I mean if we cannot cross, and most of you guys are back in your hometown kan? Are you guys in Kuala Lumpur or Selangor or you guys are like in Johor, Kedah, etc.?
Certain kat KL, certain dekat hometown.
Kan? Tapi kalau you guys nak kena balik UM and tak boleh rentas, you boleh rentas kan sebenarnya? Boleh minta surat kan? Yeah.
Boleh?
Boleh kan?
Boleh?
Cuma nanti nak kena cari bilik settle je lah kan? Tu satu hal lah pula. Okay, tak apa. So, do you guys have any suggestions for this plan B? Like what can we do with Rahim Ain'ni ni? Imagine macam Rahim Ain'ni ni macam, oh sorry, yes, Liguan?
I think because IP is better if all students can gather together lah. It's for discussion. So in the case of plan B, which we cannot go Langkawi, I think maybe we should set our area around Selangor is the best safe play method lah. This is my personal opinion. Because even within Selangor, maybe it's more easy to control. But somehow also face some difficulty maybe in obtaining the information because the title or the stupid stuff, something like that.
Also, doctor, for the accommodation, we can get accommodation in colleges. We can apply for it during special SAM.
Oh, okay.
For a project, so we can all get to stay in college together.
Betul, sebab special SEM pun student-student lain balik hometown kalau tak silap.
Okay. Oh, okay. Alright. I mean, it's just going to be then one whole semester in Selangor, kan? Selangor. Okay. Boleh lah kot. So maknanya the backup plan that we can have is probably, yang ni kira first time lah juga ni, kita tak pernah collab dengan mana-mana industry player or whoever actually. So if we couldn't do the plan A, the plan B will be a first jugalah for our department. So that will be interesting, right? That we will be in collaboration with Rahim and Co. And then yes, AK?
Doctor, how about the project at Kwasa? Remember we went to go and
Land tu.
is there any possibilities there?
Can, but then like the boss cakap hari tu, it's already like almost done. So they had like UiTM students who came prior the construction. So now it's already constructing. So macam mana kuasa land tu AK? So basically, if you were to plan or something, they have already done it. So macam tu.
I see. I thought if let's say there were any empty plot, we can like make use of it.
Kuasa land
If like Doctor said, we collaborate with Rahim and Co. Then maybe we also can like ask them whether they are doing any Vacant related project. So maybe is for finding the land, speed up the process, the preliminary process. No need to spend so much time on finding.
Macam mana? Again?
Macam boleh tanya Rahim and Co, mereka ada macam buat apa-apa planning for the vacant lands around Selangor area.
Okay.
Terus dapat mereka punya macam satu list of vacant land lah. So macam ni kita boleh terus cepatkan dia preliminary progress lah. Saya spend banyak time untuk cari site macam tu sahaja.
Then that would be interesting, right? If they have already like projects going on, then perhaps macam you guys can sort of macam mana jadi mentee of that group ke, so that you can learn with them as well and have your own ideas for the subject, something like that.
It will be better if things goes like this way lah. It will be better if things go like this way.
Right.
But most probably I think this will touch their confidential and macam something far, so wouldn't be a chance with study return.
Okay. So I think I will ask Tan Sri Rahim for plan B ni, for if they will have some vacant land to help us with the project. To help us with the integrated project, because all you have to do is actually submit a proposal report kan for the development. That's all you need. And then, you know, if you team up with Rahim and Co, if they have whatever projects ke yang they, you know, currently ongoing ke, dah siap ke, or maybe can go for redevelopment also, it will be easier lah kot for you guys kan, macam Big Puan cakap. So you skip all the preliminary process, then you can focus straight on the development and focus on your VC study and also market study, etc.
I think redevelopment is a great choice because especially KL area. But they have to depend on Rahim.
Or kalau if we team up with Rahim and Co, we should make it like redevelopment punya IP project. Kan? I'm sure he has so many old projects yang maybe dia boleh help lend to us. Kan? Okay, so I think for plan B, IP 2021 in collaboration with Rahim and Co, we will do redevelopment projects based on whatever Tan Sri Rahim has in his company. Okay. So everybody has like their own redevelopment project, and then you can propose a redevelopment. I think that would be interesting also. Rather than proposal for development, perhaps it's time to think about redevelopment. Okay, so okay. So, alright. Nanti esok, nanti I propose ni kepada Tan Sri Rahim. Kalau Tan Sri kata, oh kita boleh tolong, then maybe our IP should be okay lah kot. But plan A is still going to Langkawi kan you guys? Right. So tomorrow I will make a short proposal for Tan Sri Rahim and then I'll give him the info lah for plan A. This is what we need if you boleh help. And then plan B kita is if we can work with Tan Sri Rahim's firm to get projects like, I don't know, maybe in the 80s ke 90s ke kan, then you can do some redevelopment in KL and Selangor. I think KL and Selangor should be okay kot. KL and Selangor. So KL Selangor boleh rentas-rentas kan. Okay. Alright. Okay. So anything else you guys want to add? Want me to ask Tan Sri Rahim tomorrow for your IT? Yeah.
Ada possibility tak kalau Rahim and Co tak agree?
Ada?
So kena ada plan C.
Tu lah, dia kena ada plan C. Tapi knowing Tan Sri Rahim, he is actually okay to help with whatever resources that he has. Sebab he felt as a prof at Jang in UM, he has given not as much as he should. That's why he thinks so he feels like because the tomorrow punya meeting ni pun he yang set tau. Dia yang set the meeting because he really wants to contribute to Department of Real Estate in UM. So I think if you can, give him a good proposal that is within his means, I think he will say no lah. He will probably be on board lah kot. Hopefully. Okay. Because all he has to do is just tell everybody in his company to give us whatever we need. Kan? So, okay, good. Okay? You do know who Tan Sri Rahim is kan? You guys tahu kan siapa Tan Sri Rahim?
Tahu.
Okay, Tan Sri Rahim. Siapa yang baru turun tu? Oh, Tan Sri Talha.
Yes, 1st April.
Yeah,
Esok.
dia baru turun kan? Esok baru dia ni. Tapi the difference between Tan Sri Talha dengan Tan Sri Rahim ni, Tan Sri Talha actually has very small shares in that property company. So he's just like the face of it. Macam tu lah. But Tan Sri Rahim actually built and still owns, I don't know if he still owns the majority of the share. I think still majority good. And he's still working up until today lah. So, okay. So, okay. Thank you everyone for your input. So hopefully this integrated project will be a success. I think either way, if we are not going to Langkawi, we will still have a successful IP and also an exciting IP project. Okay. Right. So for today, we are just going to talk about who are the players in property development. I have not posted the slides yet on Spectrum, but I will do it after this lecture. Okay. So for today, okay. Oh, thank you dah. Okay. So for today, basically, what we want to talk about is basically who are the players too. Okay. Who are the players in property development? And I'm sure a lot of you guys already know who are the main players, but today we will probably discuss a bit in detail and getting to know them a bit more in terms of property development. I think we had a good talk also with Surveyor C.Y. Lim where he explained many things that's happening in property development. And ironically, when he spoke about how property developers should be more responsible, remember the story that he told us about the SP Setia using plot of 1:2 instead of 1:6, plot ratio of 6, like what most developers do to maximize their profit. So the next day, I think there was an article that blames valuers because of the overhang property. I can't remember where was that article was from, but the article pretty much calls for a sustainable valuation technique because that author blames valuers for setting up the price of all these houses, which is so unfair because we don't set prices for property development project. Developers set the price, and in fact, sometimes the person who set the price is not even a valuer. Sometimes QS yang buat feasibility study too. So which they don't understand market absorption. Remember what Surveyor C.Y. Lim said? Our profession understands the market, okay? And we understand market absorption rate. But if you are a different, macam apa dia kata, you know, architects are saying they are also property developers and are experts in property. It's not their core, I would say, to understand the market, okay? They just understand what is needed, how to solve, and that's about it. So these are the players in property development. And I believe, this is a purely personal opinion. I believe like whatever courses that you go through in your degree or in your training, it actually shapes you to do the job. So for instance, like if you're an architect, you are shaped to design and to solve problems actually. That's why architects, their train of thoughts is towards, okay, so we have this, so how do we solve it? Okay, because that's how they were trained and that is their core learning strategies, okay? But it's different from us in real estate where we have to learn every single angle of that property development, of the property market. We have to understand market, we have to understand the investment, we have to understand accounts and finance, we have to understand planning, on top of understanding, you know, how to do valuation itself, right? So yeah, so it's like QS. So QS are trained to calculate costs for the architects. So, you know, different training, but now QS are also proclaiming themselves as experts in feasibility studies and also market study. So I don't know what is happening in the ecosystem of real estate development here in Malaysia, but they really enjoy blaming it on valuers. And thanks to a QS also, who keeps on blaming on valuers still, it has become like a norm for them to blame everything on valuers. So kesian valuers kan, but there are still people who will help to uphold the profession. We still have a board who would, you know, say, you know, those are just not correct if you want to blame valuers. Because they always blame valuers on subsale. When you value subsale, you value based on market, right? So whatever the market gives and then comparison method, then that's the value, right? And these people who are in development will just use that price, okay, whatever value that they have in the market because it's evidence-based and said, oh, this is how much we will sell. And that's why it always goes back to valuer. And that's why it's like what Surveyor C.Y. Lim said, don't do hanky-panky in valuation because your opinion of value is very important and you are liable to it as well. So don't do hanky-panky, make sure to tell the truth and, you know, always value based on your not expertise. I mean, do it the right way. I mean, you understand, you know, this is the way to do valuation. You have seen this bird's eye view of, you know, what is included as factors to value and so forth, okay? So, yeah. But then again, that article actually said something about sustainable valuation techniques. So, you know that a QS actually attacked us and said that our valuation method is so old that needs to be revamped. Ni lah dia keluar sustainable valuation technique ni. Ni semua QS ni kerja lah ni. So, since you're almost graduating, that could be what you will be facing in the market. Okay? So, we will continue with water players in property development. So, we have talked about what are the overview of property development. I tak record Sekejap sorry. Sekejap, bateri dah habis. Also. Okay. Do you know that Dr. Suraya Ismail, the director of Hazana Research Institute, do you know her? Have you read about the affordable housing, whatever reports, etc.? Have you come across her name? If you have, no, the director of Hazana Research Institute, and she was actually a lecturer in actually. She's a QS. And now she earns so much lah dekat KRI. Okay, and she's QS background, etc. etc. Anyways, okay. Okay, kembali. Okay, let's go back. So we've learned about what are the overview of property development. We've talked about property development issues. Okay, but obviously there's too many issues. So our focus was the brownfield versus greenfield. And then we also talked about public policies and urban planning last week, and you guys have actually submitted your views on the national community policy. The national community policy is quite recent, I would say, but there's a few of you guys who have not submitted, except for MK who told me there are problems, but I think there's 3 of you who did not submit, or 1, okay, I'm not sure. But anyways, I enjoyed reading your perspective on it, and there is a challenge already for the national community policy. I've met with one of the person who was involved in drafting that national community policy, and what he said was the problem that they had was obviously engagement from the community itself. So it's like they wanted to start with low cost housing, right? I think they explained this in the national community policy. They started with low cost housing, and they really want to have like this like center of community engagement thing. Yeah, but it's a flop, unfortunately. But it's still, they're still working hard to make sure that there is community in development. So I think the national community policy is an interesting policy that helps community building. Building community, right? So what do you think? Why is the national community policy important in property development? It's because that the government wants developer to include community planning in their proposal. Okay, so they don't want you just to build blocks of houses or blocks of service apartments, etc. They want you to include whatever trust that they had in the policy that should be reflected in your proposal. So normally, how the government of Malaysia does it is that they have like this national policy, and then it will be like a trickle down effect. That policy then trickles down to, and it should goes down to the developers as well. Okay, so for today we will talk about who are the players, or in academic term usually we call them actors in property development. Okay, so who are the players in land development process? Those pictures are just gambar hiasan. Okay, it's just a picture. Okay, so there are seven or 8 basically. So you have the state, okay, which is the state. You have landowners, you have developers, you have the professionals, you have bankers and financial institutions, you have approving authorities. You also have the NGOs as well as end users. Who are the end users? We are the end users, okay, because we will be buying that product. So a house is always seen like something of a right of a person, which is true. Under the UN human rights, they actually specify that every single person in this earth has that housing rights. But everybody tend to forget that housing is also not housing. A house is also a commodity. It's a product. So it's part of an investment. If you have seen the generation gap between Generation X, the baby boomers, Generation Y, and now it's the Generation Z, you could see how we react in terms of generation differently in terms of housing. Because Generation X or the baby boomers, they reacted to housing markets as something of a commodity first. Yeah, you have a house, but it's also an investment. So whenever they see cheap houses, or they feel that they should buy to invest, as opposed to Gen Y, who might still not have a house yet and also has that burden to pay many thousands of ringgit, to even have one small apartment. And Gen Z is the new one who is in the market now, who are trying to figure things out, right? Whether they can buy or should they rent, etc. So it's interesting to see end users' perception in terms of generational as well, in terms of housing in Malaysia. Okay, so the state is state. Okay, it's basically all land belongs to the state or the queen or the king, etc. And the state has first-hand rights to alienate the land in its condition, or they can retain to develop it. Like the Sultan of Johor, he has, I think, about 40 acres of plantation land, agricultural land. And I think he only did something to the land, I think like half, or is it 15 acres out of 40 acres? So, they have their own land, so it's up to them what they want to do with the land, basically, okay? Eventually, all land will return back to the state, either through the lapse of agreements, assignment, concession, or leases. Remember the 99 years lease? It goes back to the state. So for you to renew your lease, you have to pay the state an amount of money in order to get it renewed. Most countries give right to the state to compulsory acquire private land for public or economic purposes. We also do this, right? We have Land Acquisition Act that lets the state or the government take your land and then you will be compensated. State can also develop the land by itself, joint venture, alienation with specific conditions, etc. We see a lot of JVs actually, especially in Prima. The model is actually JV. So how do they do the JV? Is that developers will submit their proposal for JV with Prima, and then Prima will either say yes, and then they will joint venture together. Because Prima used to get 1 billion per year from the government as a budget, and they have to develop, I think, about 330,000 houses, which I'm not sure how many they have developed so far. Okay, so yeah. So also, landowners are obviously the key players in land development. And there are two types of landowners. One is passive landowners that just do nothing and just like to have many lands, okay, and probably transfer it upon death. And you have the active landowners who will do something to increase the value of the land. Remember, like a land with a development will give more value to the land. Does that make sense? A vacant land that has a development on it in a few years will be more expensive as opposed to it being a vacant land. So it gets planning approval for development and it will sell the land with planning approval. This has happened in Alam Impian in Shah Alam, where IMP, the Island Peninsula Group, actually sold a piece of their land to NASA TTDI with the planning approval and everything. So what NASA TTDI has to do was just build straight away. So they actually skip the whole part initially, like the preliminary, etc., and they can just start build away as soon as possible. So yeah, you save money and then you save time, and now you have your own development. Okay, so that's one example. So the developer obviously is the key player. And the developer is actually a company that's income is based on property development project. So that's why property developers are also sometimes landowners, because they need land. And when they own the land, it's easier for them to project their income as well. Okay, so they have land banks, okay, which they keep. Like SPCA has about 80 acres of land in Setia Alam. I think they only have developed it 25%, 20%, okay, to purchase or to joint venture for land for development. In Setia Alam as well, Eco World also has land, but it's JV'd with Cascara in order for them to build Eco Ardens. Okay, they also need to have strong financial status. So obviously, right? Because we want to develop, you need tons of money. Okay. So you also have the professionals, and also known as consultants. So if you heard someone who you ask, oh, so what do you do? Then the person say, I'm a consultant. So, you know, they could be one of the professionals also if they're in real estate or property development. So a leader is known as project manager, and it's usually the architect, engineer, or the developer himself. Yeah, normally it's the engineer who's the project manager. Architects are also, yeah. Do they earn lots of money? Yes. For instance, a project manager who's an engineer of a project to develop warehouse, okay? To develop a warehouse in Batu Kawan, Penang, earns about $500,000 per year. And how they are paid is not monthly, okay? They are paid one lump sum. So you'll get 500,000 in your bank account for the whole year. So you're not going to be paid monthly, so you'll be paid a big sum. So normally the project lasted about 2 years, right? Development lasted about 2 years, or they have an extra 1 year, so it's 2 plus 1. So imagine you have $500,000, the next year you have $500,000, and then so you make about 1.5 million in 3 years. So that's why engineers who are project managers are really, really rich. And you have met a project manager who's an engineer who earns 10,000 per month. Oh, that's not too many, okay? You should meet the one that earns 500,000 per year. Okay. Anyway, can have in-house experts or outsource for architect, urban planner, engineer, landscape architect, quantity surveyors, valuers, property managers, estate agents, lawyers, etc. So this one depends on the developer itself. If it's a big corporation, then probably they'll have something in-house and probably outsource some. But if it's a small company, normally they have to do some outsourcing because it, you know, to retain overhead or you know, to pay emolument to a lot of your talents is also a big cost. Okay, so the professionals obviously have their own tasks to perform, and as simple as a vacant land you want to develop, you obviously need a lot of people, so it's like a teamwork kind of thing. Okay, so like architect will just design the building. Okay, architect will design the building, landscape architect will, you know, provide that ambiance and landscape. The engineers will look into electrical and civil engineer to comply with the design of the construction. I've seen one small developer who actually outsourced this as well. They can outsource the engineers and the engineers will actually come and draw the plan for them to use. So yeah, that could happen also. Urban planners to obtain planning approval, because urban planners are the one who will submit the development proposal, report to the local authority to get approval. Quantity surveyor will determine the construction cost. So architects and QS works together because whatever design that the architect wants to change, the cost will change as well. So when it's a development project, QS and architects are butt heads with each other, okay? It's either they love each other or they hate each other or they want to kill each other every day, frankly speaking, okay? So valuers will actually determine the viability and the market value. Oh, bukan valuer. Oh, sorry. Market value pula. Okay. Value. So this is where, remember surveyor C.Y. Lim said, how valuer is important in property development. They should be the one who help the development to figure out what is the market absorption rate, etc., right? So he gave us good example like the late Tan Sri Abdul Wahab Maskan from Sam W Property, who priced right so that their properties are sold. Okay, so lawyers to prepare legal documents for funding, SMP, etc. Very important. And lawyers also make so much money with SMP. Can you imagine like one development has like 1,000 buyers? So 1,000 buyers times whatever their fees equals to many money. Okay, so estate agents are also important because they sell and market the product, even though now developers are also appointing sales exec or salesperson to do this for them. Property manager to handle over and manage the end product. Okay, remember what's this? I think Surveyor C.Y. Lim said this. Yeah, he was the one who told us this story. why there was such a debacle on property management, okay, and why everybody wants it. Remember, he said it's because developer wants to manage it themselves. Yeah, so because property managers are also one of the players in property development, but at the post-construction stage. Okay, so banks and financial institutions are obviously key players to give us money, not us lah, the developer. Okay, so it plays the most important roles in property development to support with financial assistance. So local banks, international banks, syndicate or consortium, central of offshore pension fund, EPF, etc. Okay, so these are all considered banks and also financial institutions. Comply with the central bank regulation. It provides loan either in terms of bridging loan or short-term loan, and it also provides loan for the purchaser. Okay, so banks is like everywhere. Banks also wants to make money, and banks also sees loan as their product that gives income to the bank itself. Okay, so understanding all of this, even though seems like small thing to know, but actually it gives a great impact to you as a valuer, okay, or as a real estate expert. Because if you fell into what the bank said that we are helping you to give you a loan to buy a house, don't trust them. Okay, it's actually a product that they're trying to sell. It's the same thing as you sell the essential oils and Norwex, etc. Okay, it's a selling kind of product. So understanding that gives you a different perspective on how you see loans from banks, which could benefit your company as well or yourself if you became a developer one day. Okay, so next is approving authorities. So in order for you to have a development project or to build or construct or basically to start off, you need planning permission. So you have to deal with the local government, which is the local authority, and whoever who's in charge of planning and building, you need to get their approval. So now we have OSC, One Stop Center, where you only submit to one center as compared to previously where you have to go to different part of bahagian departments, okay, to get approval. So now it's a bit faster, I guess. Actually, it's a lot faster. So a lot faster because of the OSC, One Stop Center. And you have to ensure that all application has fulfilled the planning standards and regulation as well as the master and local plan of the city. Remember, you did this in your first year. You went through local plan and you talked about 1 BPK, block planning, block perancangan kecil. You understood it, you described it, okay? So that's what developers should do. And obviously, if the developer doesn't have a planning background, they wouldn't know what to do too. That's why you have to hire an urban planner or a town planner to do this for you, okay? So that's why also town planners are also developers right now because they're the one who's going to, pretty much get the approval, right? So there's a lot of segregation, I would say, in property development because supposedly like property development is supposed to be like a teamwork kind of thing, but everybody got greedy, everybody thinks they're better than the other person, so that's why you create this segregation in property development. And because of the loopholes that we have in in all the acts that governs property development, those segregation happens. Okay, so yeah. Okay. What else do I want to add? Yeah, I think that's about it. Okay. So, and also that's why urban planners are also into feasibility study. So if I have friends, actually I have friends from many division of built environment, and they're very interested when I talk about feasibility studies. So you might have those friends as well who wants to know more about how do you do a feasibility study. Anyways, it involves 2 stages of approval, okay, which is you have planning approval, plan approval, and also the building layout approval. So for planning plan approval, it gives the conceptual layout, the whole proposal, proposed development project, which is what you're going to do with this subject. Okay. Also, you did this also in BIE3003. Okay. So building layout approval is to comply with the technical requirement. So this is the one that I said that people will outsource the engineers to help them draw all these plans. Okay, and they sell it for like, it's actually not that expensive. I think I went once. They drew like a few plans, and one plan cost like 15 ringgit to print by the engineer lah. So, okay. So once you have obtained the planning approval, only then the construction can take place. Only then. Okay. Okay. Upon completion, the planning authority will check that the development will be fully complied and approval will be given earlier. So you get planning permission, but the approval comes after when it's completed. Is there any building that has not gotten this approval? Yes. In Subang Jaya, there's this one building who were given permission to build I think, I can't remember the exact number, but it's like they're supposed to build like 30 stories, but they built like 32 stories, which is obviously not part of the planning permission, right? So they did not get building approval from the planning authority. So what happened? So what happened was, obviously you cannot like knock off 2 floors. I mean, that's going to, rosak kan, or it's going to destroy or spoil the foundation of the building, right? So they had to pay a fine. And I'm not sure if they did get it though, but from last I heard, they actually just paid fine every year. Okay, so it's the same thing as well if you do small projects, like if you have a single story terrace house and then you want to build another level and you did not get approval for this, you also either have to demolish the whatever you have built, or you just have to pay like every year fine, okay? Of which this person paid. It was a single story terrace house, and then he wanted to build a second level, and obviously didn't get approval because the local authority actually came and told them to not do it. They give you like this red paper, put it at the construction phase or the house and say, no, you cannot build. But then what my friend, it was actually my friend. So what my friend did was he still built it at night when the authority was not around. And he had to pay about, I think 7,000 to 10,000 per year now to pay the fine because he won't demolish it. So in terms of value, what happened is that second level will not be counted in your value, right? In valuation, if you don't get planning approval for whatever extension that you make, it's not calculated in your value, right? So that's his loss. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to sell the house or whatever, as long as I have a second level for my kids, because he has like 5 kids, so yeah. Okay. Anyways, next is NGOs and end purchaser. So there are people who finally use the product produced by developers. We were the one. So depending on the mode of selling, it's either sell then build, or build then sell. The purchaser must enter into an agreement with the developer. Most of the projects here in Malaysia are still sell then build, right? Rather than build and then sell. Purchasers will then look for loans to purchase and then enter a loan agreement with the bank, gives more money to the lawyer. Purchasers will check what has been agreed upon, signing with the SMP that has been furnished by the developer. And then when there's a dispute happen, we go to the HBA, which is a House Buyers Association, or whatever other NGOs that will help us in the tribunal for any dispute that arises. Okay. So yeah, previously in Malaysia, not buyers right. I mean, buyers are not really that protected. But in recent years, because there are abandoned projects, so the buyers are obviously angry because, you pay a lot of money and then suddenly the houses are not ready. So you don't have a house to live and you have to pay so much money to the bank. So in recent times, the government has make sure that the buyers are protected in a way. Okay. Ah, thank you. So basically, there are about 9 or 8 layers, right, in the property development. And what time is it? Wait, now it's 12. Okay, so 12. So it's 12 now, and I have I posted this? I might have posted something on Spectrum where I'm gonna do another quiz type of essay thing, but I want you to talk about the main actors in property development. Simple, right? All you have to do is just talk about, who are the main actors, and I actually want to discuss. I want you to discuss what is who are basically the main actors in property developer.
Doktor,
Development, yeah.
you belum letak itu slide.
Oh, betul. I belum letak. I will put it after this.
Okay, thank you, Doktor.
Don't worry. I will put the slide after this. Right after we finish this. Yep, stop sharing. And then I will give you until tomorrow 11:59 p.m. So perhaps whatever you learn also from the conference, who knows, right? Because it's like a construction, and then I think there's a few speakers on it, that could influence the way you think about discussing main actors in property development. Okay? So I'm going to do that now. If you guys have no question, do you have any question? No? Okay, no question. I will do that right now, and you guys can start with the tutorial if you want. Tomorrow, remember that you have a conference to attend. It's online, so you can watch it wherever you are, I guess. Okay, so thank you for joining me today.
Doctor,
Yeah.
one question. For the
Mhm.
assignment, if we build service resident and some retail shop down there, is it considered mixed development?
Service apartment dengan
Retail.